Well, I told you we'd break Kahoot. That's what we do around here. You guys are the best.
Yeah.
Shout out to the 100 people that are going to get that VIP special from Topstep. Kind of like a spa, kind of like a country club. That's what we do here. Welcome to Shoulder Tap. Before we get into Shoulder Tap, my main man, Ben from Risk, is in the house right now. Let me do an update on the markets because we are still selling off here in the S&P's new lows. Put in low of the day, 55.1175. Currently trading 55.15. So about 4 points off the lows there. Now seeing some buyers stepping in here. Low of the day, 39.393. Again, 39.393. We're about 60 points off the lows there. NASDAQ hovering around VWAP around 19,861. Quick market update there. Keep us posted on the trades. Ben, the Risk team, welcome to Shoulder Tap. Ben, you know the question I always ask you. Are you seeing more green or more red on the board today?
Yeah, it's about 50-50. Quite a few people have hit their DLL on the day, but some of the biggest green numbers we've seen, especially in the live accounts, have been from our on-air personalities. I know we had a banger of a house account trade today, and Dakota put up 14 grand in the same trade. So really impressive stuff from the on-air personalities. But about kind of a mixed bag, not leaning too far one way or the other. And one day does not a trend make. Last week was a really good week overall for our live funded traders. So happy to have a good week and, kind of right down the middle today. I think it largely depends on what you were trading and, what your strategy was, how you capitalized on it.
Indeed, we are seeing some pretty good ranges today, at least in the NASDAQ. We're seeing some good ranges today. Volatile days. I've got a question. On volatile days, do we see more red or do we see more green on the board?
Depends on, if it's directional or not. Days where there's really big moves up and really big moves down that are relatively clean. There was one day in particular earlier this year that really stood out to me. I think we moved down, 300 points in the NASDAQ and then rallied 400 points in this massive, V shape on the day. That was one of the best days that we've had in our accounts because, people were able to get on. If you were short for a lengthy period of time, you were making money. And if you were long for a lengthy period of time, you were making money. So it depends on the direction. Those days where we just get a melt up in one direction or the other. Usually you see really big P&Ls from some traders and then a lot of people who got caught on the wrong side. So it can be kind of a disparity there. So it depends on how that volatility ultimately, manifests on the chart. But good question. It depends a little bit on direction. And the NASDAQ drives the ship. All of our seems like 80% of our traders are trading the NASDAQ. So it all depends on what the NASDAQ's doing.
I was just going to ask you, what do you think is the percentage of our Topstep of our traders? Is it about 8% NASDAQ around here? Just ballpark.
So I don't know if it's exactly that high, but it is certainly the majority. For the 40 products or so that we offer, to have one that certainly over 50% of the volume that we do is in that product. I think we exceed, especially in a simulated environment. I think we exceed the actual volume that's done in the live markets in the NASDAQ on an intraday basis. Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah, we're market makers in the
We're market makers in the sim. I like that. All right, Ben, without further ado, let's get into this. Let's go to just do your shout outs, your shoulder taps. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, we've, the biggest P&Ls I think we've already discussed and kind of noted. We can just jump right into the cards if you're ready for it.
All right, let's do it.
Great. Let's pull up the card for Cameron first. Cameron E.
Yep. So Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, Cameron's someone I've very quickly become a fan of as one of our live traders. He's been with us for a significant period of time. He's been part of the program since June of 2021, but he's actually been in the live account for about 5 months. So he's been in this live account for a significant period of time. He's taken $17,300 in payouts since January 24th. Ooh. That is just in this live account. So what's interesting, and I've had a couple of phone calls with him between last week and again today. I wanted to follow up. He hasn't taken a payout in this account since March 12th. And part of that has been, he reached out last week to the Risk team. That's one of the benefits that you get for being in a live account. You communicate directly with the Risk team, talk out where you're at in your trading strategies, what's working, what's not working. And I think most importantly, adjust your risk parameters. We've done that for Dakota a number of times. I know he's talked about that process, expanding his risk parameters. We recently reeled him back in, and now he's back on a positive streak. So Cameron was looking for something similar. He reached out to us, said, "Hey, I'm at a $1,500 DLL. I want to bring it into 1,000. I want to keep this live account. I've kind of just super frustrated, kind of down and out, you might say, which I empathize with a lot. It wasn't so much that he was, losing money in a significant way. It's kind of just treading water. I know Nick Vertic has talked about that in his live account as well, being at around kind of the same account balance. And that can be really tough mentally when you go, 10, 20 days of trading and don't have much to show for it. Your P&L, your account
Right.
balance is roughly the same as it was a month ago. So a little bit deflated, defeated, but he was doing the right thing and reaching out and saying, "Hey, I need to, reel it in from the risk side so that I can get back on track." That conversation and the way it unfolded stuck with me a little bit. So I dug into his trade reports, his profile, and then reached
Yeah.
back out to him this morning. More than anything, just to encourage him. Cameron's
Mhm.
someone who's proven that he's a profitable trader with us, not just in the simulated accounts, the combine, obviously in the XFA. This live account, he's been in it for 115 days. He's one of the longest tenured live traders that we have currently, and he's taken a lot of payouts. So it's simply a matter of getting back on the right track. And I was impressed in his self awareness. He talked about discipline, how he needs to recapture discipline in personal areas of his life. A lot of times traders think there's a differentiation. I go in trade and then I go live my life. Well, you trade the way that you live your life, I believe. If you're an
Okay.
undisciplined person, if you don't have discipline in your life, it's going to be very difficult to stick to the trading rules that you have for yourself. So Cameron and I had a nice conversation. He talked about how he's a trend trader. He has a system. He knows that it's profitable, but he has recently been, deviating from that system in a variety of ways. So we had a conversation about ways to get back on track, instilling some discipline, and just sticking with the system that he knows and has already proven to have made money with. It was really productive. Last piece, I know that actually I did a conversation with MP about this as well briefly. I'm
Okay.
huge on being kind to yourself. You have to be willing
Yep.
to forgive yourself, accept prior losses, accept bad trades, mistakes that you've made. You have to be kind to yourself and forgive yourself first, and then you can hit that emotional reset button and look at the markets, through a positive, energetic mindset. I have really strong opinions about that, and especially, it stuck out to me so much when I was talking with Cameron the first time around last week. What kind of thoughts do you have on that, Andre?
I got a question for you, Ben. If you don't mind me, if I don't want to get too into details here, but how does that conversation go? Do you call him or does he call you?
So in this instance, he reached out first about middle of
Okay.
last week, and over the phone is different. It's not the same as in person, but when
Sure.
there's extremes on one side or the other emotionally, it's very easy to pick up on. And I hope Cameron's okay. Doesn't mind me sharing, but it was all over his voice, right? He was just kind of defeated
Yeah.
and deflated, and he
I've been there.
opened with that, telling me that I'm just kind of down and out. I'm not sure I'm gonna continue doing this. Like he was kind of
Mm.
at that level of frustration and demoralization, and
Yep.
you know that again stuck with me. I want to be a resource to our traders, and so I popped the hood a little bit, looked into what he's been doing, and just tried to share some constructive feedback and positive energy. I think positive energy is when you know how to trade profitably, you know the right things to do, and then you still aren't doing them. Man, that can be a headbanger.
Yeah.
That's really tough
It
to
is.
go through. So just having, knowing that you're not alone, trading could be a lonely game, knowing that you have resources on your side as part of the risk team and really the entire coaching staff and all of the infrastructure we have here at TopStep, making sure that our live traders can get on the right track, continue to take money out of the markets. That's what we're here for, and that's what I shared with Cameron. So just want to give a quick insight into his trading and where he's at.
Or follow up, Ben. So essentially you're taking off your risk managing hat and you're putting on your trader psychologist hat. It's essentially what that call sounds like.
Yeah, to a degree, right? When you hear stuff like that, it's not so much the ones and zeros per se, because again, the ones and zeros. If you look at, I'd invite you to look at the trade report, Andre, for his live account that we have attached to that. You can see it,
Sure.
a week ago, the last 8 trading days. There is a deviation. There's a strong deviation from the prior trading behavior, and so when you have such a track record of profitability over months straight, and then there's that type of obvious statistical numerical difference,
Right.
something else is going on. It's not always
Something
just about the
changed.
numbers. Yeah, it's just a tiny little change there. So it started out by a risk conversation. He wanted to lower the daily loss limit, which again tells me his head is in the right place. But
Yep.
just trying to be a sounding board and someone with some encouragement as well, to let him know we're here for him. I'll wear that hat from time to time when I feel like it's
Love it.
necessary.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, one last thing on camera. I know we're stuck on camera for a little bit. Cameron, if you're watching, man, I've been there. This gig can beat you up and make you feel like the lowest of the low. Trust me, there are better days ahead. If you remember us in January, we're getting crushed in January. January was awful. We were getting crushed, crushed, crushed. Sure enough, there is light at the end of the rainbow. Real quick, Ben. Only thing that sticks
Yep.
out to me: how many products is Cameron trading? Do we need to be trading all those products, or is he? He might be trading. You might need to focus or specialize on at least 2 or 3 products. No.
It's a good question, and I did ask about that pretty early on in our conversation today. It's more about the system rather than the product. So I'm
Okay.
reminded of, I've read John Carter's book, Mastering the Trade. I'd encourage, if you, especially if you're interested in trend following, kind of looking at markets. It's a great book for learning about trading and different styles. But he's really big on that. About it's the setup, it's not the product per se. There's a
Okay.
caveat to that. These products, their contracts expire at different times. They are affected by different news events, especially when you're trading currencies. You have to be aware of those landmines that can pop up. You're trading the New Zealand dollar. You're going to have to be aware of the news that impacts that product because you don't want to get caught
Yes.
on the wrong side of a trade. But as long as you're doing that, you're doing your diligence about that product, and you see a setup, I'm okay with that, right? I just want to know. And Cameron's a good example of knowing what setup he's looking for and being a little bit agnostic about the product that is taking place in.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So it's about the system, not the product. Fair enough. Question asked, question answered. Let's move on to our next card then, Ben.
Yep, let's do it. Kai Chun. So Kai Chun C has been trading with us from Taiwan, and I had to like triple check these numbers when I was looking at them because the profitability for the account size is really staggering. So Kai Chun's trading in a 50K XFA that was just called up to live yesterday, hitting the cap, our 50K cap to be considered for transfer to live, and really just has some massive winning days. $31,000 winning day on Monday. That's yesterday.
Yep.
Previously had a $21,000 winning day, 13 grand, 12 grand. So anytime someone can put up those types of numbers, especially when you are, limited to 5 contracts in that 50K XFA, really impressive. One element of this that I wasn't too keen on and was definitely a factor for consideration among the risk team when Brett and I were talking about this is
Okay.
sometimes depending on size, and I think Kai Chun is an obvious candidate for this, will reach out and say, hey, we see your style of trading. We know you like swinging big. Are you interested in expanding risk parameters potentially after you clear certain benchmarks, right? And Kai Chun took us up on that, ended up expanding the daily loss limit to $3,000, which there's pros and cons to that, right? Expanding your risk does not equal profitability. It's never going to, but it can give you a little bit more breathing room, especially in the 50K account size. So he took us up on that and has since taken that expansion, hit it a handful of times in the account. Not so many times that it can overshadow these big winning days. But there was also a day, if you're looking at that trade report, Andre, where got caught in a rollover situation, trading an illiquid product, ended up taking a $12,000 loss, unable to get out kind of thing. So that's one of those learning moments. As long as you take something away from it, you really need to understand at kind of a basic level futures contracts, which you are trading at Topstep, and what rollover means, how those contracts move. I think we do a fantastic job of educating that on the broadcast. So if someone doesn't know about that, I'd really encourage you to tune into the mornings, especially around like rollover week when Hogue and Eddie are constantly talking about what the implications are, how it can impact trading, and ultimately what you need to do to avoid a scenario like that. So a little bit of heart palpitations there from the risk team, but the good does outweigh the bad in my estimation here. And Kai Chun it's time to move into a live account. So called him up to live, and man, a $31,000 winning day in a 50K account is something to behold. That's serious.
Absolutely. Hey, real quick, Ben, Scotty Boy in the chat wanted to catch the name of that book you mentioned. What book did you read? What's the title of it again?
Yeah, it's Mastering the Trade by John Carter. I believe he has Simpler Trading. It's kind of his program. Not necessarily an endorsement. I like the book a lot. I've listened to it a couple of times on audiobook. Great trading book for beginner, intermediate traders, I believe.
I like that. that. All right, great. So there you go, Scotty boy. Check that out. It's probably on Amazon, I'm sure. All right, so Kai-Chun, do you guys reach out to him about going from XFA to live, or does he reach out to you guys about going from XFA to live? Is that always
So
a
in
one-way
this instance,
conversation? Does anyone ever come to you guys and be like, yo, move me up to live? Does that ever happen?
oh yeah, we've had that conversation a number of times. People reach out asking to get moved to live. It is a discretionary process that the risk team has, and we've got certain parameters, that we're looking for, where we filter through all of the accounts that are at the express level across all of Topstep, and they need to meet certain benchmarks and certain criteria in order to be considered. And there's
Okay.
a list of any given day we might be considering 300 or maybe even 400 accounts to be
Damn.
called up, but we've got a proprietary system for that. So it is in this case, there's the 50K profit cap. So Kai-Chun had hit that. In very rare situations, we may keep someone in an XFA for an extended period of time. There's some reasons or logic behind that, and so those are conversations we have with traders. But ultimately, in this case, because the trading looked the way that it did, they trading plenty well. It's time to move them into a live account. We want them to be taking big bites out of live markets in the same way that they were in the XFA. So yeah, good
I love
question,
that.
Andre.
I like how the traders in risk team. You guys are partners, all right? We're not good cop, good cop. You guys are partners. Trust me. These guys in risk, they want to see your success ultimately more than maybe you want to see your success. It's a partnership here. It's a give and take, and we're always trying to promote. You guys want to see these traders succeed. So that's amazing to see. All right, so we got about 4 minutes left here on Shoulder Tap. Let's get to our last card of the day. And if there's time, I have a question for you, Ben. So let's get to the next card.
All right, perfect. Let's do it. Matthew R is trading with us from Conroe, Texas. Love our Texas traders, and
You know where that is, Ben? Do you know where Conroe is?
I know where Conroe is. Yeah, my dad's side of the family is from Houston, so I spent a lot of time going to up and down 45. I'm familiar.
There you go.
Yeah,
Shout
Conroe's
out
a great
Matthew.
spot, and Matthew's been trading very well. What you'll see on the screen here is a 100K XFA that was called up to live, along with 2 others. So the statistics here are for 1 account, but 3 were ultimately called up at the same time yesterday. So you can multiply everything on your screen by 3. Trading the Nasdaq with us, average daily P&L of $529. 100% winning trading days on 20 trading days completed. So
What?
traded 20 days.
Okay.
Now, some of those days were narrowly profitable. There was one day it was $150 away from that DLL, but ended up taking it away. Something I really like here is being comfortable with I'll put quotations around this, a small winning day. $300 is nothing to sneeze at, but he's got, compared to those, the best winning day being $2,300. Matthew's very comfortable taking $300-400 out of the market and walking away, calling it a day. 400. I forget the math exactly. I think $400 a day annualized is like $100,000 salary, something to that
trader
effect.
math.
So
I like it.
those small wins add up, and 100% winning trading days is not sustainable, right? That's the only real concern I have here. The losing day will come, possibly back-to-back losing days. Those happen. That's part of trading. Market conditions change, mentality changes. There's all these different factors kind of whirling around at once. So be cautious of that. That's my only bit of advice for Matthew going forward into the live account, is to really not let it run away from you emotionally. Just stay grounded, stay humble. So when that losing day comes, you can just hit the reset button and continue moving forward. Reset mentally, that is, and keep moving forward, trading really profitably. $4,400 in payouts across 3 payouts in this account. Love paying himself. He's paying himself often. Can't really say enough about this. 20 days is 20 days, but 100% win rate is 100% win rate. So, he's doing well.
100% winning day rate, 83% winning trades. I mean, there's nothing. What do you say here? I guess the last bullet point. Don't let the inevitable losing day spoil your mindset. Yeah, essentially that's what it's going to be like. You're on a hitting streak. And how are you going to get back up, bounce back up when you do have that inevitable losing day? It will happen. But for right now, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Stick to the system. Matthew R. from Conroe, Texas. Sheesh. 20 days, 20 for 20, 83%. I mean, what do you say? What do you even say, Ben? I mean, what can you say to this? Just the
He's
last
on a
one?
heater.
Don't let the inevitable. Yeah.
People talk about that in sports all the time. You've got the the hot streak, if you're playing basketball, it looks like the hoop is 10 feet wide. You just can't miss.
The
So
hula
he's
hoop.
definitely
Yeah.
on that kind of a heater right now. And again, it's more about clearly there's profitability. It's more about when you find yourself on a bit of a cold streak, how do you manage that? How do you make sure it doesn't get
Right.
away from you and you give back 3 weeks of profit or something like that?
All right, good stuff. All right, well, that does it for all the trading cards here on Shoulder Tap. I want to ask you this one question, Ben. Do you guys, the team members in the risk team, do you guys have favorites? Be honest. Do you guys have favorites amongst the traders?
Favorites.
You guys
Yeah.
have your favorites.
Yeah, there,
You
there,
don't need to
there's
name
some
names.
favorites,
You
I
don't need to
think.
name names, but it's like you're like, that's my boy, that's my girl. She's doing it again. I don't have to worry about her. Like those types.
Yeah, yeah, we're human, and we also, there's some traders, some of our live traders that we've got, near weekly conversations with that we build real, lasting relationships across time with. So yeah, I think that's kind of natural, but we don't play favorites. But I think I'd be lying if we said there aren't some favorites. Yeah.
I appreciate Fatima. They're saying Fatima, Code Red Production. I think
Oh
you're onto
yeah.
something, Code Red Productions. I think you're onto something there. You know where I was going with this. Ben, always great job here on Shoulder Tap. Do you have any parting words for the traders today? We got about 3.5 hours left in the trade. Tell them something about, give us some risk management tips if you don't mind.
Have fun, positive energy. That's something I'm playing in a rec league right now, and I'm captaining a team, and that's what I keep reinforcing all the time. Positive energy. Good
Yep.
things happen when you're optimistic, when you are going forth with real positive, optimistic energy. Don't be reckless, but just keep a positive mindset. And if you're not in that mindset, find a way to, you can always walk away, especially in trading. The power button's right there. Shut it down. Take the day. Go outside. Touch grass, as the kids say, and play to live another day, would be my parting words.
Ben, I absolutely love your vibe, man. Great stuff from Ben and the risk team. That is Shoulder Tap. That's all for now. We got group coaching coming up next on the 100,000 subscriber celebration day. Group coaching coming up next. Good job, Ben.